want to leave your cameras off, leave your cameras off, but it's up to you. All right, so let's share the screen and crack on. So, right, so thanks for taking the time to join in tonight. Like I say, it's hopefully you'll find it beneficial. We're going to look at discipline tonight. Quite a dry topic, but there's some important information I need to share with you. Get rid of that. So, let's go through this. Oh, doesn't want to play ball. It's the first technical issue of the night. Right, here we go. Right, so like I said, it's the first part of a 3-part series. Discipline night. We're dealing with coaches in a couple of weeks' time, and then in about a month's time, just the start of August, we're going to look at contextualized decision making, which is basically managing a game. Bit of housekeeping. You know it's on record, so just be careful of the words you use, please, because it will be put on the website. Refreshments. I've got my cup of tea here, so if you want a cup of tea, by all means, crack on. If you've got your mobiles by the side of your computer or whatever you're using, just put them on silent, just so it doesn't go off, or put yourselves on silent if you need to. And then, like I say, put the little hand emoji on if you've got a question as we're going. Okay. Right. There's 4 bits for tonight. There's sin bins, which is a big change for this season, which is really important you get a grasp of. There's some new youth rules that were done in a trial period the last 2 years, and they've come across some age groups that you need to know about. We're going to look at the whole game system, and we're going to look at discrimination, what that looks like, how we deal with it, and how we report it. Okay. Come out with this, and I'm going to show you the sin bin presentation. Okay. So, as you'll be aware, sin bins are in operation at the level of football that we operate at. We used to have a complex matrix that used to be on the website, but that's disappeared now, and I'm going to show you what it's been replaced with. So we'd use a sin bin for dissent, C2, by word of action. All right. So things like kicking the ball away could either be dissent or delaying, depending on the context of the game. So that's for you to decide based upon your understanding of what's happening in that moment. Big thing for me, though, is the bottom one. Offensive, insulting, or abusive language or gestures is not dissent. Right? If I miss a shot, it goes over the bar, and I go, oh, fuck off, man. Right? I don't deem that personally to be that bottom bullet point. However, if it comes screaming at you and it's aimed directly at you, then we're going to go more into red card than dissent. But you need to use your sort of experience and feel on that moment to decide what you're going to do. But I'd rather, if it's foul, abusive, and insulting, you send off for it because we can support you and it's nice and easy. Okay, so think about what dissent looks like. So the match day process is still the same. It's 10 minutes off the field of play for a 90-minute match, 8 minutes off the field of play for any other matches. So it's youth football. It doesn't have to be a designated area, but this preferred area would be that they go back to their team, their side of the field of play, just to stop any conflict with the opposition, any supporters, anything like that. So that's how we're going to manage the match day process. So I'll just let someone else back in. 2 seconds. That's everyone. Mark, do you have a question?
Yes, Seb, just a quick one. With sin bins, it's still only dissent to the referee, isn't it? It's not to other players.
Yeah, because that wouldn't be dissent. So dissent is to you. If it's to another player, it'd be adopt an aggressive attitude. Yeah, so that's a good question. Okay, so, and it works the other way around. So we've had it in the past where people have put dissent in as adopting an aggressive attitude towards a match official. Well, that's dissent. So it's if it's at you, it's dissent. If it's at a player, it's a dominant aggressive attitude. So you've got to understand the two aspects of that. All right, but that's a good question, Mark. Cheers.
Thank you.
No problem. Right, let's jump back in. Yep, so the moment player's been put to send, that's when the period starts and when the play restarts. So you get rid of me because I've been going off to you. I'll go to the sin bin. When you decide to restart the game, that's when we're doing the 10 minutes. It's complicated if you've got multiple, but it's very rare we get multiple sin pins at the same time from the 3 years I've been in post. Write it on your hand, write it on your wrist, write it in your book, write it on your card, just so when you start it's on your watch. So if we're playing, if it's the 23rd minute, just write number 23 down and then just maybe put in brackets 33 so you have a rough idea when they're coming back in. The other thing as well, we've got to include any lost time. So if a player goes down with an injury, right, that doesn't count towards their 10 minutes because we're not playing football. Okay, so it's got to be pretty much effective playing time. Okay, so we're going to whiz through these bits. So you decide when they return. Okay, it's got to be at a stoppage and play. So it's not like an injury where you can just wave them on when it's safe to do so. It's got to be at a stoppage. If for whatever reason that stoppage means it goes to 11 minutes 20, well, guess what? That's not your problem. You didn't commit the offence, right? It's that player's issue because the ball's still in play. Okay. If a player's been sin binned, they can't be substituted until they're due to come back on the field of play, because otherwise they're not being punished for the offence that they've been guilty of. So it's really important that you don't get lulled in by a team trying to do that to you. Okay. If the period isn't expired, so the end of the first half, right? So you end the first half and they've done 7 minutes of their 10 minutes. We do another 3 minutes in the second half, or the start of extra time if it's a cup match. Okay. If they haven't completed the 10 minutes and it goes into a penalty shootout, then it just gets wiped. All right, so they can take part in penalty kicks. Everybody happy with that? Anyone got any questions about that? No? Right. So this is where it's changed. So you no longer need to know the matrix, which was more complicated than it needed to be. It's pretty straightforward now. If I've been sin binned and had a yellow card, and then I come back on the field of play and commit another yellow card challenge, all right, I will get sent off. All right. Exactly the same if during the sin bin they do something, right? So they're off, done. All right. Sent off, can't be replaced. None of this. Well, you get one free tackle as a yellow, then you can have a third yellow card, and you can be subbed, but you can't be subbed, or you're sent off. All right. It's back to basics. 2 yellow cards equals a red. If one's for dissent and they've been sin binned, tough. If the second yellow card's for a sin bin offence, guess what? It's a permanent sin bin because they're getting sent off for it. So in that respect, if we're doing a second yellow card for dissent, it's just a straight C2, no sin bin option. The whole game system will automatically generate it as a second cautionable offence and turn it into a red for you. So 1 yellow card for sin bin, 8 or 10 minutes, depending on the length of game you're playing. They receive a second yellow card, well, guess what? It's red, just like any other challenge or any other incident on the field of play now. All right. So it's to manage these things because it was getting overly complicated for people. We were getting people sin binning someone and they were still chewing on. So they then give them a second yellow card, but it was all part of the same incident. So it's to help you manage the players and manage the game in a more effective way. That's why we've got the stoppage, so it's more effective rather than you worrying about is the time up, then the bench or the touchline screaming at you to get the player on during play. It's a stoppage. So clubs know this now. They've been given this PowerPoint by us at Durham FA, so they're well aware of what these new sin bin protocols are. Okay, and that just reiterates the if it's not done in the half of play, then it carries into the next half, unless it's a penalty shootout, and then it gets wiped. So, some quick questions and answers from the FA. You should be able to do this by yourself. Like I say, there's not many times where you'll have multiple people in the sin bin. If there is, you're just going to have to take your time and make sure that's done at a stoppage in play, and it's a process-driven outcome. So just take your time, write things down, and you shouldn't go wrong. Can they warm up when they're off in the sin bin? Yes, they can, but it's got to be to the competition rules. So that will mainly refer around which side of the field or which half of the field that can warm up in, particularly if you're operating as an assistant referee or referee in the Northern League who still operate with sin bins. They will have a designated touchline or side of touchline where subs will warm up. Big one, if they go down to less than 7 players because of a sin bin, a temporary dismissal, then they haven't got the required numbers, therefore you must abandon the game. You can't go, well, I'll fudge it. There's like someone's going to come back on, there's only a couple of minutes left, or only two, I'll not do this. I'll just take the grief. That's their problem. You report it as an abandoned fixture and put an extraordinary report and tell us why it was that, because it'll be a sin bin, and we'll take the necessary steps to discipline that club. Goalkeepers, yes, they can be sin binned. It's no different to any other player on the field of play, but they must nominate someone else to go and goal, obviously. Okay. And that's why it must be a stoppage. Makes sense now, because if you're having a goalkeeper go off, you can have a stoppage for when he comes back on, and then he can go back and goal. So substitutes, can they be cautioned for dissent? So they just get a yellow card normal way. A substitute cannot go into a sin bin because they would be classed as a non-playing participant at that point. Same with the coach. So they've got to be on the field of play for a sin bin to be permissible. So, like I say, if it's an injury, that time that is lost to the player getting treated gets added on to the 10 minutes. You can't use that period to waste away your sin bin time. And like I say, if you need to remember it, write it down somewhere on your arm, wrist, card, book, whatever you feel comfortable to help you manage that. And finally, if it's a second yellow card for dissent, they're off. Everybody okay with sin bins?
Absolutely fine.
Good. Any questions on sin bins? Anyone want anything clearing up? Our website's been updated, so everything I'm going to talk about tonight is on our website. Either like that information or it's this PowerPoint's on the website. The PowerPoints I'm going to show you, the handbooks, the booklets are all on our website, and I'll show you where they are before we go. So everything you need to manage a game of football or information-wise is available to you straight away. If you're not sure, ring me. I'm quite happy to talk through most of the stuff. Okay, right. So that's sin bins done. So where we're up to. What did we say we're going to do next? Right, youth rules. So you should have already received these from us on email, along with the sin bin stuff, but it's good to go through just in case. So deliberate heading and pass or dribbling are the two main changes. So for deliberate heading and pass and dribble ins, under 7s to under 9s for this season. Next season, that'll change and it'll go up to under 10s. And I would imagine the season after that, it'll go up to under 11s, because what it'll do is it'll follow this team who was under 9s this season. It's going to follow that team progressively through their age groups and just backfill everything else behind it. So this year's under 9s will probably get, I think it's under 12s or under 13s, where it'll probably stop. But they've had no heading in place for the last 4 or 5 years. So we'll do pass and dribble in, dead simple. Throw-ins no longer exist in under 9 football and below. It's kick-ins or dribble-ins, all right? It's no different to when we've previously give throw-ins, hold the ball, overhold the line, usual stuff. Kicker can take a pass in, choose to touch the ball again before it's touched by another player, right? So at the moment he's kicked the ball in, ball must be stationary and on the touchline at the point where it left the pitch. Only the kicker can be off the field. Opponents have got to be 5 yards away for when he does the passing or dribble in. And you can't score directly from a pass in, right? Ball is in play when it's kicked and clearly moves, right? There's a video here, so we'll see. Videos are notoriously poor at working on teams. We'll have a look. Is there a pass? Here we go. So that's pretty straightforward. Can score from a dribble in, got to touch another player from a passing. Okay, and then we'll have a look at the heading one, because that's changed as well. So it was trials in some other counties and some leagues, but it's now mandated across all under 9s football and below. So we'll have a quick look at the video and then we'll move on to the next topic. That is pretty much it in terms of the youth rules. In terms of what a deliberate header is, your guess is as good as mine. I would probably say you've got to think the age group you're refereeing, it's under 9s. So if the ball hits them in the head, is that deliberate? They would probably have to make a significant move or jump to try and head the ball for it to be a deliberate header for me. Andrew, you've got a question.
Yeah, it might be a bit of a daft one, to be honest, but has anything changed regarding corners? Because obviously if they're going to be like crossing a corner, and it's going to sort of encourage them to go and deliberately header.
No, so it's still corners, goal kicks. Obviously, it's only the sidelines, the touchline where it's changed into kick-ins and dribbles in. But if they're going to get penalised for heading the ball, you'll probably find it's all short corners. Bit like these kick-ins, they'll probably try and get coached around it maybe, but that's the risk to take, isn't it? It's going to be a difficult one to see how they do it. But at least this season, it's not, well, I play on a Saturday in this league and I can't head the ball, and then on a Sunday I play in a different league and I can head the ball. It's standardized across all leagues now at under nines and below. So you're going to just have to try and differentiate between what's accidental and what's deliberate, a bit like handball, which will be the tough one, particularly for that age group. But I'd imagine if you've got a player jumping to head a ball, that's pretty deliberate.
Yeah.
They probably don't know what they're doing with the body half the time because they haven't got that skill or coordination yet. But it's just being sensible with it. And I think obviously the kick-ins and dribbles in as well, it's so much easier because you're not having to manage a foul throw and coach what a throw-in is. It's literally kick it in or dribble it in. So everybody happy with those two changes. It's under nines and below for this season only. Restart is always indirect free kick. And if it's in the penalty area, you bring it to the nearest sideline of the penalty area. Okay. Right, halfway through, and we're making good time because I don't want to keep you too long because people want the tea. Right, we'll go back to this one. It shan't be long. So we're now going to look at whole game system. I'm not going to boys with it because looking at the names I've got in the room, we're all pretty experienced match officials. But we're just going to quickly cover probably 10 minutes on it, just to make sure everyone's aware of what we need to do. So you would have all got the pre-season email, which had the youth rules and the sin bins. Also provided was a list of league names that appear as they are on the whole game system. So some of them, like the Hartlepool Sunday League, isn't the Hartlepool Sunday League on whole game system. It's like the orange box Hartlepool Sunday League. So you've got to type something random in to get it up, like a sponsor's name. So you've all got them. If you haven't, let us know, and I'll put or they should be on the website if they're not already on, but they'll be put on the website so it's easy for everyone to get. You all got an email today because the friendly one got removed for some reason. So when you go to other competitions, you used to put in friendly-the FA and you could submit your discipline for pre-season games there. That's no longer the case. So any pre-season football only needs to be emailed into discipline@durhamfa.com. Once your season starts going, you're doing league football and cups and stuff, that's all back on whole game system under leagues and competitions. My pet hate, since we've taken the role, and you've probably had numerous emails, is that when you take discipline, you must get names of people, whether it be players or coaches. Spectators can't do that. Like, it's difficult to do that because they're non-playing participants. But anyone involved in the game, particularly players, I want names of players, not numbers, because I don't know who number 9 is for the Dog and Duck on a Sunday morning, and it's not my responsibility to find them for you, right? You're the match official. You're there. Ask for the person's name. If you're not sure how to spell it or unsure what they're telling you, just take your time and ask them to repeat it. All the names for them teams are already pre-populated on the whole game system, so it's a matter of just finding the one that looks like it, the one you've taken. So, for example, Sebastian can be spelled probably 3 or 4 ways, but if I give you my name and it's not spelled the way you think you've written it down, I bet you could still find it on a list. Okay? Same with surnames. It doesn't have to be the perfect spelling. So as long as you know, you've got it written down the best you can, when you come to put it in the system, it'll probably be there and you'll go, oh, that's the one I'm looking for. Okay? But that's my pet hate. I'm now going to show you a quick demo of the whole game system. And this will be really quick because you're all experts on it. Dun, dun, dun. So when you go into your account, go to whole game, sign in, we're going to go referee administration. and we're going to have a look at our appointments should appear here. So you can either add match there or add match here. So we're going to add a match. Bring up your details. My role as the referee. Today's date. County Cups. Self-explanatory. Other competitions, that's where you normally put your friendlies in, but it doesn't exist, so ignore that. Leagues and cups. So if it's the Russell Foster, you might put there. There you go. Russell Foster comes up. I'd click on it. We're not doing Russell Foster today. We're going to do, it should be, here we are, Durham Testers League. So you click on the league, and then you click the division, or you can click all teams in the league. It'll come up. All your team names, right, will have a place name at the front of them. So it's not, it'll be Durham, Sunderland, Gateshead, Darlington, Middleton, Hartlepool, whatever it may be. It'll have a place name in front of it, then what they are. So we save the match, presented with this screen. So we've got cautions. Got cautions for non-playing participants, which are coaches and managers. Got dismissals. Dismissals for non-playing participants, again, coaches and managers. And misconduct or extraordinary reports. Okay. So we'll go into cautions, just a Billy basic one. First team, we'll pick Bradley Fernley. And he was C1, and we're going to say he did a foul tackle. Add, save, done. Put as many as you can, or that you've done in the game. It'll come up 1. Dismissals the same. Team, seconds, player. Let's go Mark Smith. Violent conduct. It's going to ask you what type. Let's say he elbowed someone. Okay. Add dismissal. That's all you need to do. And then that'll pre-populate. Misconduct, extraordinary reports. Again, pick your team. Can be both teams, so you have a mass confrontation. You could put both in, or if you're unsure, just click not known in the discipline department. I'll have a look at it. So we'll put both teams in. Or we're sure it's misconduct, so like mass brawl, yes. Or we're not sure, click unsure, but we'll go yes today. Did this incident? Yes, it resulted in an abandonment. Others, no one else is reporting. I'm just going to put in the 70th minute. There was a foul tackle by home 3 on away 7, which led to a mass confrontation. I then abandoned, if I can spell, yep, abandoned the game. Obviously, flesh it out with exactly what happened, details, who did what, and do that, and then add it. Reports pending, that's fine, it's not a problem. So we'll go back to summary. Got caution, dismissal, and misconduct. Ticked because it's abandoned, and I'm just going to submit the discipline report. That is our report done. We go back to me admin screen, and there's my match, and it should come up submitted green because it's already in the system. That is the whole game system. Whistle stop tour. Everybody happy with that? Any questions on the whole game system? Good, good. Oh, this is easy, this, man. Should do more of these. Right. Last bit. Has anybody had a game where they've had to report discrimination? Nobody?
Yes.
Mark, you had one. Whenabouts was it? Can you remember?
It was about the middle of last season. One player accused another player of homophobic behaviour. It was.
Right.
It was only
Did
their
you?
word against their word. I put a report together, sent
Right.
it to the FA, but just one person's word against another, so it was difficult to let's get any conviction on that one.
So when during the game, if you don't mind talking us through what you did and what happened before I go into what we should be doing. So, whenabouts in the game was it?
It was probably after about 35, 40 minutes. There were some verbals. It wasn't within earshot of me. One of the players then approached me and said he'd been called something homophobic. I immediately stopped the game. I wrote down what he'd said. I informed both managers of what had been said. And then we proceeded with the game. I told him we'd deal with it at the end of the game as well. So we continued with the game. There was no more discrimination or any more after that. And then at the end of the game, I just reinforced that I would be putting a report in. I tried to get some more evidence, ask a few people if they'd heard anything, but nobody had. It was just one player against another.
Pretty much
But I
textbook.
did put a report in.
No, that was really good. That's textbook. So that's spot on, mate. That's really good what you've done. So dealing with discrimination, big thing. We get a lot of these, and a bit like abandoned fixtures. We only have a set amount of time to deal with this, set by the FA guidelines. So it's really important if you get this, that as well as submitting your report, drop me or Tracy Lavery in the office, who deals out with discipline manager, an email, so we pick it up on Monday morning, so we're aware of what's happened, so we can go in the system and get that, like, jump the queue to the top of the things that we need to deal with, because that's really important. So quickly go through what discrimination is, what we do on the field, and what we do post-match, and then I'll show you a bit where the resources are, and then that's us done, I think. So discrimination is the process of making an unfair or prejudiced distinction between people based on their groups, classes, or other categories to which they belong or perceived to belong. So we've got protected characteristics. These are the things that form discrimination. If you target or use these characteristics in a negative manner. So if you refer to age, race, disability, gender reassignment, religion or belief, sex or gender, sexual orientation, pregnancy or maternity, marriage or civil partnership. So if you refer to any of those, so we talk about the homophobic one, that would come under sexual, sex, gender or gender reassignment, possibly, things like that. Unfortunately, there's some things that don't fall under this that you would think might do. So things like hair color, unfortunately, doesn't fall under a protected characteristic. So we've had incidents of reports coming in based around people getting abused about their hair colors. Glasses are a one where it can be formed a part of disability, but the player must know it. So there's some bits that are really hard to prove, like Mark's mentioned. So, but I'd rather you deal with it and report it and leave it to Tracy and her team to investigate it and then put the evidence in front of the FA, because that's where ultimately it goes. So dealing with discrimination, Mark gave a really, really good positive action plan of what he did on the game. It was textbook stuff. So 3 main things for us as referees: we must listen either to what's being said because we've heard it, or what people are telling us. We've got to take action because we're there to record the evidence, we're the data gatherers, and then we must report it. Once you've done those 3 things, that is you done. You may get called to a personal hearing, but that's part of what your role is as a referee. So there's 3 things to look at in the listen and action part. Did we hear it? Did we see it? If we did, we stop the game immediately and we dismiss, we send off that person, whether it be a player or a manager, because we've seen it, right? We then make a full report, include exactly what was said or done, and we tell both teams separately that you'll be reporting the incident. That's the easy one. You see or hear it, you know what's being said, by who, directed at someone, then you can deal with it there and then. The one Mark mentioned was that we don't hear it or we don't see what's being said, but someone tells us about it. At this point, you record the information. You write down what the allegation of discrimination is. So if it's a homophobic term, a racist term, whatever it may be, you write down what the player's telling you, word for word. Maybe prudent to get the captain in to support them, to help calm them down, because the player might be agitated. I've had it in the past where I've had players report things to us, and it's best to get the captain in to help A, calm them down, but B, it's another witness to say that you're doing your job, you're writing down what they're telling you. At that point, you can say, did anyone else hear this? And you can write down the names or the numbers of who else has heard it. Again, go to both teams separately at that point and say, look, this is what's being alleged. I didn't hear it, but I will be reporting it. And then you go at the end of the game, and if you need to collect any more statements from the players that might have heard it or say they've heard it, then you do that before you leave. Spectator wise, you haven't heard it, or you have, you stop the play, you get the home club who's in charge of that game to get the spectator removed. If you've heard it, dead easy, it's a bit like the player or the manager, you get them removed. If a player says that person stood on the side there said this to us, still try to get that person removed just for the management of the fixture, and then report it, an extraordinary report, and then we'll investigate and we'll go to both teams and both players and things like that. Extraordinary report, there's much detail. So where were you when you seen it or were told about it? What time of the game was it? Who told you about it? And was there anyone else there witnessing it? What did they say? What did they do? Okay, so as much detail as you can. If you have to turn over your match record book, like your sheet in the book, write on that, get the information, and then put it in the report. So, any questions? Said it'd only be about 45 minutes, and I'm pretty much bang on time here, like, so I'm pretty happy with myself. Anyone got any questions about what we've covered tonight? No? Everybody happy?
Thanks.
Yeah.
No. Yep.
Yeah, I hope it was worth your time. It was just something, obviously, we had consultation events at the start of the year where we went around different parts of the county, and a lot of feedback we got was that not everyone can attend face-to-face meetings, either through the work commitments or travel, or what any other sort of reasons they've got. So we've tried to do something a bit more accessible in terms of online. So like I say, it'll be put on the website. In terms of the website, I will show you where things are before we go. So this is our website. It's not the easiest thing to navigate, but it's pretty when you know where everything is. So hover over referees. Don't click it, just hover. You'll see things like a Roll of Honour, course stuff, referees associations, what events we've got coming up, things like that. But for this aspect of it, if we go to referee information, we'll look at temporary dismissals first. On here is the link for IFAB about the latest ones and all the questions and the PowerPoint that we went through. So that's there for you to look at. Same place, but just a slightly different one. If we go to general guidance, it's probably the best one. It's got a video of how you do the whole game system. It's got our information booklet with links in there and all the league rules, times, and contacts. Our discipline guide, if you ever get a personal hearing. The guide, a guide about what we've just gone through in discrimination, a really good tool. The personal hearing one, and then it's got the mini soccer handbook. So if you're refereeing a lot of mini soccer, definitely worth downloading that on your phone or on your computer. If you've got a phone, you've got it at hand if you're going to games. So when coaches try to pull the wool over your eyes and say, no, we're playing this and it's this, that's what their mini soccer handbook is. Okay. Also on here is our safeguarding information if you need anything regarding that. So if no one's got any questions, quite happy end of the meeting. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to stop recording. There it goes.